The ultimate tragedy of your existence is not that you will one day face physical death, but that you are currently allowing yourself to be slaughtered by an illusion. You are sleepwalking through your prime years, draped in a magnificent, invisible straitjacket, woven entirely from the naive moralities, sentimental fables, and synthetic rules of fairness fed to you by the crowd. Look closely at your daily struggles. You wear a highly polished mask of unconditional trust custom, designed by a world that praises goodness in public while practicing predation in private. You reveal your hidden vulnerabilities to competitors who smile at your face. You rely on the volatile gratitude of superiors who view you as entirely replaceable, and dance frantically to a rhythm of pure obedience, believing that merit alone will secure your kingdom. Your true sovereign strength has been buried beneath a mountain of romantic delusions. You are a ghost inhabiting a competitive machine, wandering blindly through your existence while your authentic security and internal power slowly suffocate in the dark. I know this devastating bottleneck intimately because I did not write my truths from the soft, insulated chambers of academic safety. I stood in the raw, bleeding center of the Florentine Republic, navigating the deceptive courts of kings, popes, and ruthless tyrants like Cesare Borgia. I watched entire states fall in a single weekend because their leaders relied on alliances built on affection rather than leverage. When the political winds shifted, I was stripped of my office, thrown into a dark dungeon, tortured on the strappado, and exiled to a quiet farm to rot in obscurity. The heavy, suffocating walls of betrayal closed in on my spirit, demanding that I weep over human cruelty. But in that cold, lonely exile, away from the frantic chatter of the court, I pulled back the deceptive veil of human vanity. I did not find a world governed by your Sunday school homilies. I found an absolute, piercing authority. I realized that there is a terrifying structural chasm between how men ought to live and how they actually live. Today, I am stepping out of the shadows of history to shatter the iron cage of your psychological naivety and demand that you reclaim the absolute sovereignty of your reality before your brief day turns into permanent night. Observe the breathtaking, ridiculous hypocrisy that rules the behavior of the modern individual. You scream at the top of your lungs for absolute honesty, transparency, and brotherhood, yet you actively, willingly perform the labor of a slave to buy safety from a collective that will sacrifice you the moment its own interests are threatened. You cross professional battlefields, build corporations, and tolerate immense pressure. But you cannot survive a single hour of clear-eyed assessment regarding the dark motives of the people who sit at your table. You claim to want an honorable life, yet you continuously drag garbage into your mind, inviting the hollow praise of the crowd and the deceptive promises of loyalty directly into your internal sanctuary. You are trapped inside what I call the mirage of secondary moralism. This is the catastrophic illusion that human beings will act against their own self-interest simply because you have been exceptionally kind to them. You have been systematically trained to ignore your own primary intuition, treating the spark of dark, calculating vigilance within your own soul as a dangerous error, while treating the sentimental consensus of the collective as an absolute gospel. You give your loyalty blindly and believe you have built a permanent alliance, completely blind to the fact that gratitude is a fragile thread that breaks the exact second fear or ambition enters the room. You speak your absolute truth in spaces governed entirely by optics, only to find that your honesty is used as a weapon to destroy your standing. What a pathetic, magnificent form of self-destruction. You are actively betting your actual present reality to chase a phantom drawing of professional harmony that society has sketched on a wall. The system does not want you to understand the architecture of power. It wants you to remain predictable, compliant, and soft. It feeds you a steady stream of synthetic idealistic concepts so that you remain permanent consumers of its shallow remedies. The moment you value the public opinion of the world over the internal ledger of your own strategic calculations, you commit a form of spiritual suicide. You become a mere echo of a naive victim who died centuries ago. Your entire existence is reduced to a footnote in an executive report written by a committee of actors. You are powerless, not because you lack talent, but because your inner ledger is entirely bankrupt of realistic observation. To understand the absolute gravity of your captivity, we must confront the cold engine that drives this modern grid, the unyielding mechanical doctrine of the Stato, the ruthless architecture of the collective system. Society operates not as a moral guardian, but as an aggressive syndicate of competing interests, structured to extract your vital energy while demanding your complete psychological compliance. The virtue in most request by this collective system is not courage, not original vision, but a calculated submission. It demands that you suppress your strategic instincts to maintain a predictable, managed stability for the masters of the game. The global machine has weaponized modern corporate culture and digital networks to create a hyper-managed prison of secondary thought, turning you into a highly efficient, predictable asset to be exploited. This creates the devastating phenomenon of the stationary motion. Look at your modern self today. You are working 80 hours a week, surviving intense corporate battles, and checking off tasks with furious intensity, yet you are completely, structurally stationary. You are moving across the grid of a pre-designed chessboard, but you do not own the board, and you did not invent the rules of the game. You are running yourself into a state of chronic biological exhaustion inside a beautifully constructed golden cage. Your unique capacity for strategic dominance has been systematically castrated by the terrifying weight of what I call the unarmed intellect. You look at human behavior through the lens of how men ought to act, rather than studying the cold, unchanging reality of how they do act. You have become an unthinking victim of optical maneuvers, entirely terrified of standing alone in the present moment with your own independent evaluation. You compromise your primary positions to buy the temporary, volatile protection of a corrupt herd, but the harsh, unyielding law of nature is that a man who leaves himself completely unarmed in a world of predators is counting the minutes until his own destruction. When you choose submission over strategic sovereignty, you are trading your power for a mirage of temporary security. This systemic compromise pushes you directly to the edge of the cliff, the terrifying, unblinking threshold of the unarmed mortality. Look ahead at the final horizon of your life. Imagine yourself 30, 40, or 50 years from today, sitting in a quiet room as your biological strength rapidly fades away into old age and decay. The game is over. The social noise has completely died down. The digital crowd has vanished. The material status has evaporated. You are forced to stand entirely alone with your own memory, looking back down the long, straight highway of your existence. And here is the brutal, devastating realization. You look down at your own open palms, and you see that they are completely white, smooth, and clean. They are entirely devoid of any scars, calluses, or structural boundaries of power. Why? Because you lived your entire life in a state of deep, pathetic cowardice. You never once risked your comfort to establish your own independent leverage. You never built a single foundation of strategic strength that belonged exclusively to your own name. You avoided every necessary conflict, hid from every dangerous confrontation, and allowed the herd to dictate your boundaries. Your hands are clean, not because you are pure, but because you were too cowardly to ever wield the dual weapons of reality, virtue. The calculated, relentless master force of strategic execution, and prudence, the cold, unblinking capacity to map the shifting mechanics of human nature. You chose a slow, bloodless suicide of compliance over the agony of clear-eyed, realistic self-expression. The warnings of history pale before this simple, dynamic truth. Your prime years are a finite currency, and the clock is running out right now. If it is impossible to be both loved and feared, remember the cold law of the world. Love is held by a chain of obligation which men break at every opportunity for their own utility. But fear is preserved by a dread of punishment which never fails. To save yourself before it is too late, you must seize the ultimate weapon of the strategic awakening. You must declare a violent, unyielding war against your own naivety. You must cultivate the supreme attributes of survival. You must become a fox to recognize the traps hidden in your industry. and a lion to terrify the wolves who seek to exploit your labor. If you do not explicitly break the iron cage of your compliance today, you deserve to stay cold. You deserve to die as a mere pawn in a game that was never yours. The moment you seize this internal weapon, the structural cage of your confinement completely disintegrates. You experience a magnificent catharsis, the absolute rebirth of your strategic sovereignty. You step down from the corporate treadmill of social compliance. You close the heavy iron gates of your mind against the noise of the collective, and you take absolute ownership of your inner citadel. You stop looking backward at past regrets or forward at a phantom tomorrow, and you establish your throne firmly within the unyielding architecture of the present moment. Let us lower our internal tempo now. Let us lower the rhythm of our frantic minds and anchor ourselves deeply to the solid reality of the present. Turn away from the synthetic glare of your digital screens. Listen closely to the steady, deep, rhythmic expansion of your own breath. Feel the heavy, undeniable weight of your physical body pinned to the gravity of this turning, living earth. Let your name, your societal titles, your past failures, and your future anxieties blur completely into the background. You are not a machine designed for the convenience of the herd. You are a sovereign sanctuary of pure awareness, a channel through which the cold, clear-eyed focus of strategy and survival enters the universe. As you step away from this video and return to the chaotic arena of the modern world, you are forced to confront an absolute binary choice. The veil has been lifted, and you cannot return to your ignorance. When you close your eyes tonight in the silence of your room, you must answer one dangerous final question. Will you step out into the arena, awaken the sovereign master of your own destiny, and build a world of strategic independence that is uniquely your own? Or will you remain a comfortable, broken tenant in a life you do not own? Choose wisely. The clock is ticking, and the sun is setting on your short hour. Leave your answer below in the silence of the comment section.